Dear Sagittarius, look deep into your own eyes in the mirror, because just a few weeks from now, you might not recognize the person staring back at you anymore. Not because you changed your hairstyle, not because you're trying to become someone else, but because your soul is being stripped of all the disguises life once forced you to wear. And for the first time in many years, you will see a version of yourself that even you never dared to imagine. A version that is stronger, more radiant, and freer than ever. In this video, you will discover why the universe is choosing you to ignite a rare soul rebirth, and what happens when you stop living like a character and start living like yourself. Write it down below. I am ready to live as myself, without needing anyone's permission. Because the words you write are your agreement with destiny knocking at your door. Sagittarius, if lately you felt different, your emotions rising for no clear reason, or a strange sense that something is approaching, you are absolutely right, because you are being reborn in the fire of your own becoming, and I'm here to tell you where that fire comes from. You're not changing for anyone. You're being burned by the very fire that lives inside you. In astrology, no sign burns more honestly or brightly than Sagittarius. This zodiac is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, truth, faith, and life philosophy. And when Jupiter returns to the 12th or first house in your personal chart, this is no ordinary transit. This is a total shedding, where you no longer live to be understood, but to be revealed. In the language of the soul, some things cannot be spoken. They can only be felt through the emptiness in your eyes staring back at you, through those deep sighs you can't explain, through moments you're surrounded by people, yet feel like your soul is somewhere else entirely. Have you ever felt that, Sagittarius? I have, and that was the moment I realized the world hasn't changed. It's just that my soul no longer wants to perform. Sagittarius, you are a symbol of truth that refuses to be hidden. Even when you try to please others, your light will still leak out through the cracks. You were not born to fit in, you were born to set fire, to lies, to safe roles, to names that were never truly yours. And if, right now, you feel like you're no longer recognizing yourself, that's not being lost. That's a signal. Your soul is burning away the version of you that once pretended. In astrology, the 12th house represents endings, the unseen, the spiritual, the karmic. The first house is your origin, your identity, the face you show to the world. When Jupiter, your ruling planet, visits these houses, the universe is doing two things at once. It is freeing you from all outdated definitions, and it is revealing a form you never imagined you'd become. You are the fire burning away the very mask you once wore. The pain you feel now isn't from losing someone or something. It's from shedding versions of yourself that you once believed were real. And your soul is weeping, not from pain, but because finally it is being seen. I believe every human being lives with a mask. For Sagittarius, the saddest mask is often the one called joy. You smile, but no one knows why. You joke, but inside, there's a war no one sees. You appear confident, but there are nights when you want to disappear completely from this world. Is that true? That is not a confession of weakness. It is a declaration of liberation. Many people live their entire lives never seeing their true self. They live, love, marry, and die as a version crafted only to fit it in. But you were chosen to see yourself while still alive. That is a sacred privilege, but it is also a ruthless cleansing, because to see your true light, you must walk through the very darkness you once avoided. You may be losing friends. You may no longer feel excited about the work you once loved. You may find you can no longer stay beside someone you once thought was your soulmate. But that is not loss. It is the natural result of your energy no longer matching your old reality. And I need you to remember this. You are not breaking apart. You are breaking open. Someone once asked me, if I allow myself to change completely, who will stay? I answered, only those whose souls are wide enough to receive the real light in you. Sagittarius, you were not born to beg for space in someone else's heart. You were born to expand the space for those who are ready to step into your world. If you find yourself no longer fitting your old places, old work, old people, let yourself feel lost for a while. Because that loneliness is the sacred stillness your soul needs to reshape itself. I don't believe in changing yourself to be better. I only believe in removing what was never truly you, to reveal what's always been there, just never welcomed. And if you are a Sagittarius, I believe you are in that exact moment. The moment your soul no longer wants to pretend. Life is not asking you to become someone else. It is inviting you to come home to yourself. You don't need another title. You don't need another mask. You don't need one more success to prove you're worthy. You've always been worthy. You just never dared to live that way. If you've been crying for reasons you can't explain, if something inside you feels like it's falling away, if the eyes you see in the mirror look more real, yet unfamiliar, write this in the comments. I'm not changing to please anyone. I'm changing to save myself. Sagittarius, so what exactly is activating this entire rebirth? Who is lighting this fire within you? The answer lies in a giant planet that is touching the deepest layers of your soul. And I'll tell you about it right now. There comes a moment in life when you no longer know who you are. Not because you've forgotten, but because everything that once defined you suddenly feels foreign. Your name, your roles, your titles, even your dreams, all seem to drift away. And in their place, there's a silence, so still, you can hear a quiet voice rising from deep within. That is not disorder. That is a profound repositioning, one only those who are chosen can feel. Sagittarius, you are standing at the crossroad of destiny, where Jupiter, your guardian planet, and Mercury, the planet of thought, memory, and understanding, are meeting in the cosmic chart. And it's not a coincidence. They're meeting exactly when the fire-air axis is shifting rapidly, creating a cosmic breeze strong enough to change your very direction. Imagine this. You're walking through the desert, carrying a backpack you've always believed was yours. Suddenly, a strong wind blows it open. And you stop, stunned, staring inside. Nothing in it truly belongs to you. It's filled with things given by others, dreams you copied, and advice you don't even remember where it came from. In that moment, what will you do? Jupiter represents your soul's expansion. Mercury represents conscious memory. And when these two planets meet at the crossroad of fate, you're left with no choice but to ask yourself the deepest questions. Am I still me? If I remove everything others attach to me, what remains? Am I really living or just continuing someone else's story? You change, you change, you change, until no one can call you by the right name anymore. Not even you can say your own name without hesitation. But the beauty is, this is not the end. It's the beginning of a return. When the world no longer recognizes you, maybe that's not a sign of being lost. Maybe it's a sacred invitation to meet the original version of yourself again. The version that never needed to be accepted because it already was the light. I believe each of us has a moment like that. A moment when you no longer fit the old promises. When what once made you proud now feels meaningless. When even the shell you built for yourself no longer feels like home. And in that moment, don't try to save the old. Step back and allow yourself to become undefined. Has anyone ever told you you're not yourself anymore? If yes, share that story below. Because when you speak it, you might be helping someone else realize they're not alone. You might notice relationships changing. People who were once close no longer understand you. You might find it hard to speak. You might feel disconnected, lost. But that says nothing about your worth. It only says you are outgrowing your old frequency. You'll speak less. You'll listen more, especially to your own soul. You'll find yourself writing things without knowing where they came from. And somewhere in your quietest silence, you'll whisper to yourself, I am being changed from the core. But the universe gently says back, you don't need to understand. Just stay still in the not knowing. Because there, your truest self is quietly surfacing. And I want to say this to you, dear Sagittarius. You are not lost. You are shedding a skin that has become too small. No one is forcing you to change. It's just that truth inside you can no longer tolerate pretending. The union of Jupiter, the planet of growth, and Mercury, the channel of awareness, is forming a light axis aimed directly at your spiritual identity. It's like someone has blown a new breeze into your mind. Gentle, cool, and deep. It doesn't make noise, but it changes you at the root. This shift doesn't feel like an explosion. It feels like a wind slipping through your cells. You don't hear it, but you're no longer the same. If you're dreaming more, if you've become quieter, if you no longer crave to be understood, but only long to be yourself, you're not wrong. You are right in the middle of a threshold between awareness and soul. Write it down. I'm allowing myself to change, even if I don't have a name for it yet. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to keep moving toward what feels true, because that feeling is what's leading you home. But what exactly is being awakened inside you, Sagittarius? Because sometimes the confusion you feel doesn't come from the present. It comes from somewhere much older, much deeper, much further. And I believe you are remembering memories that were never named. Have you ever felt a sudden ache in your chest for a memory that has no shape? You're standing in the present, but you burst into tears for something you can't even recall happening. Like a dream from long ago. Incomplete, wordless, but holding the weight of an entire ocean. And you ask yourself, why does this touch me so deeply when I don't even know what it is? Don't worry, you're not losing your mind. You're not being too emotional. You're just unlocking a suitcase that has been sealed for lifetimes. In astrology, the activation of the South Node is the moment when past life memories, unfinished soul agreements, and ancient destinies begin to resurface from the deepest parts of you. You are not remembering just this life. You are touching wounds that traveled with you across many lifetimes. And maybe that's why you can't explain why you're moved so deeply. The things you once sensed vaguely are now appearing like scenes from a life you've lived. Someone you just met hurts your heart like someone you've already lost. A place you've never been makes you cry, just from seeing it on a screen. Sagittarius, your soul has not forgotten. It's only been waiting for the right time to remember. And that time is now. Have you noticed? Lately, your dreams feel more vivid. They're no longer scattered images, but fragments of memories, unfinished stories, hellos that were never said, goodbyes that never found closure. And sometimes, you wake up still carrying that emotion. A strange sadness, a warm pull, a quiet ache, as if some part of you just came home. Your soul is like an old suitcase, holding not just memories of this life, but of many lives. Versions of who you've been, names you once held, wounds that were never healed, silent vows whispered long ago. Now, one by one, they're being unlocked. No noise, no warning, just a quiet knowing that it's time. Most people think not recognizing yourself means being lost, but to me, that's when your soul begins to realign. Realign not to become someone new, but to return to your original form, untouched by the roles you had to play. And the strange thing is, even if you never quite knew who you were, you always felt different. Since childhood, you sensed you didn't quite belong in the mold others set for you. You stayed silent to avoid being called strange. You pretended to make sense just to dodge the looks of confusion. But deep down, you always knew, I was born to remember something not of this world. And now, what you once felt is rising through your body, in every new sensitivity, in every strange dream, in every tear with no name. Have you ever cried over something you couldn't explain why it touched you so deeply? If you have, please leave a comment below. I am remembering myself. Because sometimes what you share becomes the answer for someone else who's also beginning to remember. I used to think those strange dreams were just my mind being tired. But I've come to realize some things are too real to be made up by the mind. They can only come from pieces of a soul that has lived before. You don't need to rush to explain what's happening. You only need to trust. When your soul is ready to remember, it will show you how to return. You may not remember the past clearly, but your soul does. And once it opens the suitcase, you'll begin to see the world with different eyes. The eyes of someone who has traveled far and come back. Someone who never truly left themselves, just waited for the right time to come home. And once you begin to remember, the most important question is no longer, who am I? It becomes, what will I do with all that's rising now? How do you turn old pain into new light? How do you let those memories lift you instead of pull you back? Let's continue, Sagittarius, because the next part touches on something sacred. You're not being delayed. You are being protected. You are not becoming someone new. You are simply returning. Returning to the most honest part of you, the part that was once hidden, once silenced, once forced to shrink just to avoid hurting others. This isn't transformation. It's peeling away every expectation, every social label, every role you thought was your duty. Like a door inside you slowly creaking open, no noise, but enough for your real light to shine through, for the first time in years. You don't become a dragon when you shed. You were always the dragon. It's just the old skin was too thick, too worn, too long kept in place, that even you forgot you could fly. A snake does not become a dragon when it sheds its skin. It simply reveals the truth that was always within. Right now, Pluto, planet of symbolic death and soul rebirth, is forming a powerful trine to the sun of Sagittarius. A deep promise: you will be broken, but only to be remade in light. You will be set free, not to run away, but to return to what has always belonged to you. I don't know where you are on your journey right now. Maybe you're in the middle of confusion, watching everything you once loved slowly fall away. Maybe you're feeling disconnected from the things that once brought you joy, and now you start to ask, what's wrong with me? Am I losing myself? The answer is no. Pluto does not demand that you become someone else. It only strips away the skins that made you forget how radiant you already were. I know this process isn't easy. It comes with broken relationships, with mornings where you wake up asking, am I going the wrong way? But here's the truth. No rebirth happens without first passing through a moment where it feels like you're falling apart. You were not born to become someone new. You were born to remember who you already were, before the world taught you to change to be loved. The truth is, your light was never lost. It was only buried, beneath rejections, beneath expectations, beneath the times you silenced your true dreams out of fear no one would understand. Sagittarius, you were born with a flame inside. That flame wasn't meant to burn others, but to light your path home. And right now, that flame is rising. Have you ever heard this? Your soul doesn't need to change, only to be set free. If that resonates with you, please share your thoughts below, because maybe, just maybe, your words will be the light for someone else walking through their own darkness. I want you to know this. You're not running away from yourself. You're peeling off the image others placed on you, not to rebel, but to finally live truthfully. Ask yourself, if I didn't have to please anyone, if I wasn't tied to any role, who would I be? Maybe you won't have that answer right away, but every step you take in honesty is one step closer to becoming your true self. Sagittarius, when you are no longer your old version, the world will no longer treat you the same way. And you're about to see that very clearly. When you return to your real essence, every glance, every relationship, every opportunity will begin to shift form. You don't need to announce your change, because when your inner frequency shifts, the entire way the world responds to you starts to shift too. Some relationships will go silent. Conversations that once lasted for hours now feel awkward and empty. Those who once said, I understand you, suddenly can't follow your thoughts anymore. Right now, Jupiter, your ruling planet, is raising your energetic field, especially in connection with the air signs Mercury, Libra, Aquarius, and outer planets like Uranus or Neptune. Your energy is rising, and when that happens, a natural phenomenon occurs. You start falling out of sync with certain people. Not because you're worse, not because they're less, but simply because your frequency no longer resides on the same channel. Imagine yourself as a radio. For years, you've broadcast on 89.5 megahertz. Those around you are used to hearing you there. But now, you've tuned up to 105.7, without effort, without explanation. And the people from your past, no matter how much they loved you, can no longer clearly tune into your frequency. And sometimes, that makes you feel sad. You'll ask yourself, why did they leave right when I started becoming more real, more radiant, more in love with myself? But eventually, you will understand. Not everyone who leaves is a loss. Many leave to make space for souls who can meet you at a deeper level. When you begin to live in alignment with your soul's true frequency, you no longer need to carry old relationships through effort and strain. The truth is, some people could only stay with you when you were still playing small. And when you start to shine, they don't leave because they hate you. They leave because your light has become too honest for them to keep hiding from themselves. Are you feeling lonely in this process? I know that feeling. You're standing between a life that's dissolving and a new life that hasn't fully formed. You no longer belong to the old world, but you haven't yet stepped into the new one. Who is someone who left you at the exact moment you started being real? If someone comes to mind now, don't be sad. Don't try to pull them back. Gently thank them. Because their departure is a sign that the universe is clearing space for your soul to grow. I used to hold on to so many people just because I was afraid of having no one left. But when I dared to let go, new souls began to arrive, gently, effortlessly, and with deep understanding, simply because I chose to live truthfully. If you've ever felt lonely in your growth, if you've ever lost someone, just because you stopped being predictable, write this below. I am realigning with my new destiny. Because those words are your declaration of readiness. No more clinging, no more regret, only light paving the way ahead. And when your frequency has shifted, when the world begins to see you differently, you'll realize the most important truth. Not everything that leaves you is a loss, and not everything that comes is random. Sagittarius, the most important thing is this: you dared to return to yourself, and that will change everything. There is a gentle truth, but a hard one to accept. You were not created to be a copy of anyone, not your parents, not society, not any mirror you've once admired. You were born to be a one-of-a-kind expression, and if you don't live in alignment with that, the world will be missing a piece of light that cannot be replaced. In the current astrological chart, Jupiter, your ruling planet, is forming a powerful trine with the Midheaven, the highest point in the sky, symbolizing your soul's mission, your divine calling, your true glory. When these two align, the universe doesn't ask, "What will you do to be accepted?" It asks, "Are you ready to live as yourself, even if no one applauds yet?" I once read a line in the Bible that made me pause for a long time. God does not demand you to be perfect. He asks you to be honest with the gifts He placed in you. That pierced me deeply, because maybe, for most of your life, you've been too busy trying to be good enough to ever stop and ask, "What is the real gift of my soul?" You were never meant to chase someone else's path. You are the bow, designed to release a single arrow, your mission. And if you refuse to live it, that arrow may never fly, and the world will forever be missing a trajectory the universe had once calculated with precision. Being honest with yourself is not just a personal act, it is a living prayer. Every person who lives in truth is helping make this world more authentic, more healed, and less pretending. You cannot change the whole world, but you can be the living proof that sincerity is still the most noble light. I know, living as your true self is not easy, because to do that, you must let go of so much. The roles that made you lovable, the safe behaviors, the habits that once helped you fit in with others' expectations. But remember this, destiny never wants you to become someone else. It only wants you to have the courage to show up as you. Do you feel like you're living closer to the sacred within you? If so, write below, "I am ready to step into my true destiny." That sentence is a vow, not to others, but to your own soul. You didn't come here to become better. You came here to remember you've always been extraordinary when you are yourself. And if you are on the journey home, know this, you are not alone. Every step you take, every layer you shed, every dream you dare to live is a wave in the universe. As a Sagittarius soul tunes into the fate written just for them, thank you to the one who carries the Sagittarius soul for walking with me all the way to the end of this journey. Not everyone is brave enough to face themselves, but you stayed, you listened, you opened your heart, and that is worthy of blessing. If what you've just heard touched you, please like this video, share it with someone who may need an awakening, and leave a comment below. I'm not changing to please anyone. I'm changing to return to myself. Let the universe know you're ready, because when you act, the gates of destiny open, not because you begged, but because you agreed to walk in your light.